2017, it was the bathroom bill fight. In 2019, it was religious refusal bills. In 2021, it was, anti-trans sports bills and anti-trans medical bills, labeling parents like us child abusers. So like it just keeps, the pressure keeps mounting. So I'm really, really glad that America is waking up, because parents of transgender kids have been begging for help for years. So thank you, Senator Murray, for having us here today.
We've been publicly advocating for trans rights in Texas for 7 years now. Especially Amber has been just a real champion. And it's been what we call a long political emergency, from attack to attack to attack.
This didn't happen overnight. This was a steady drumbeat and a rising temperature. Lots of pressure put on trans kids and trans people across the country.
So here's the deal. We've got to fight these attacks on trans kids every way we can, in the courts, with legislation, through executive action, and by speaking out and speaking up. So to me, it has never been more important that lawmakers and leaders everywhere in this country speak out. We all have a responsibility to stand up and say, this is not right.
That was Senator Patty Murray at a roundtable she had discussing the recent attacks on the rights of trans children. What is happening right now is there are a handful of states that are literally trying to criminalize the health care that trans children need. The first people that spoke were parents of a trans child in Texas, who right now are being investigated by Child Protective Services because the governor and the attorney general right now are trying to claim that simply letting trans children get transition care is somehow child abuse. And this couple actually had Governor Greg Abbott over for dinner to meet their family, and they were one of the first people that they launched an investigation against when this policy rolled out. The extreme evil that this is can't be understated, because they're quite literally threatening to throw loving, supportive parents in jail simply for the act of supporting their trans children. Patty Murray also brought on another trans parent and her child to speak on this issue.
Using our families as political wedge issues and to try and weaponize an agenda is not only cruel, but in our house, we believe that's un-American, because we are supposed to have the same freedoms and access that anyone else should.
Listening and reading that my own parents are considered child abusers, and that my healthcare providers are seen by some as criminals for simply loving, supporting, and helping me live the best possible life, it's impossible to describe. Ultimately, I know that these opinions are wrong and that they are just that, opinions. Opinions cannot stop us from existing. They cannot stop me from living my dream to the fullest and following all of my dreams. And opinions do not change who we are as transgender and non-binary people.
And this is 100% true. What is happening right now is these Republicans are trying to use trans folks as a political prop in order to create division and hatred. They're basically using the existence of trans children and these attacks on trans children as red meat for their base in order to get the most hateful, bigoted people out to vote for them. This is an absolutely shameless and evil tactic that's being used right now, and the fact that they're threatening children shows how truly shameless these Republicans are. Basically, what is happening right now is Republicans are banking on the ignorance that people have about transition-related care, and especially when it comes to children. You see, they can't go after trans adults right now, because if they went over trans adults, then basically everybody already kind of has the notion that yeah, you can let adults just make decisions about their life. It's really weird for you, dude. But when it comes to children, a lot of people have a lot of uncertainty and skepticism. And it's that same sort of feverish kind of, oh, think of the children. But no, I challenge you to think of the children. Think of the trans children out there that just want loving and supportive parents. And what they're getting is they're getting these state legislatures across the country that are literally threatening their parents and threatening to take away them. Because here's the thing, they can't just look at all of your healthcare records, can they? Even if, theoretically, this was just about preventing them getting access to things like puberty blockers and hormone replacement therapy, which, by the way, doesn't really start until like the teenage years, they could use just the very act of letting a trans girl wear a dress in public as evidence to start an investigation. Because once again, they can't just immediately demand all the health records. They have to start an investigation and get warrants and things like that. So it's going to lead to an aggressive policing, even of trans kids who aren't receiving any type of hormone replacement therapy. And it could even affect cis children, where people in the neighborhood or the community are just skeptical that they're not masculine enough or feminine enough. Quite literally, the Republicans are supporting putting in place some sort of gender police to exist in schools to constantly be monitoring whether or not a child might be trans and then investigating any parent that seems too supportive of their child's trans identity. And so think about this, if you are a child in this condition, I need you all to put yourself in the shoes of the child for 1 second. Imagine you're a kid, you're a teenager, and you think to yourself, oh, I might be a girl. And then you go to your parents and you say, hey, Mom, Dad, I think I might be a girl. And then the parents tell the child, well, I'm sorry, because even though we support you, if you go tell your friends or if you go tell your teachers, then the government might investigate us, take you away from us, and throw us in jail. Imagine being a child and having to hear that from your parent. That is the evil that these Republicans are trying to put onto trans children across the country. And in Idaho, they're trying to pass a bill that would threaten parents with life in prison. The degree to which these Republicans will shamelessly attack trans children specifically is absolutely infuriating. And what Patty Murray said is exactly correct. This should be an all hands on deck moment for anybody that has any shred of human decency. There should be far more legislators than just her speaking out about this. And it is embarrassing that there are not more representatives that are speaking about this issue. Ben Carollo with Rebel Headquarters. You can catch my show Galaxy Brain on the Young Turks Twitch channel every Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. If you want to stay up to date with my content, you can follow me at Benjamin Carollo on Twitter. And lastly, to those of you who might be wondering or have noticed, my pronouns are in fact she, her.